time it is. It is 8 a.m. Eastern, Saturday morning, time for another episode of Sales Logic. And I am looking at my partner, Mark Hunter, with his beautiful new office. Did you just get that done, Mark?
We just got that done this past week. Still some decorations, but yeah, we're getting close. We're getting close. Getting that, not that log cabin feel you've got, but
well, it looks good. So, Mark, what's on tap for today? What are we going to be discussing?
We're going to be talking about how you get consistent and better results. Now, think about this. This is so spot on, and you and I talk about this a lot. So that is absolutely outstanding topic. We got a great question. We're going to go to the Sales Logic Brain, which we've been taking out to. I don't know if you know this, but I've been taking Sales Logic Brain out to obedience school and driving school, and it's getting better and better every week.
All right, let's go ahead and get the show going. All right, I thought I'd hit the new intro for it this morning. Now, before Mark kind of goes into the details, we get into the question, I like to tell you how the show works. We start off every week with a question from you, the audience, because we want you to be a part of Sales Logic. So if you ever have a question, just go to saleslogicpodcast.com, put it there, and we will feature you right here. We have a hot topic. We recommend a book because we all should be reading, learning, and growing. And because we want you to leave with return on investment, we have a lightning round. So Mark, where are we starting today?
Well, the topic, the secret to getting better and more consistent results. That's the topic. The question comes from Kelsey McNamara. She says, I'm a field sales rep seeking advice. How can I get better at discipline and prioritization? So naturally, I put that question into the Sales Logic Brain. And let me tell you something, it cranked out some pretty good stuff. It cranked out 12 things to do. And I'm just going to quickly run through just a few of them. Make it to be, well, let's start back at the top. Make a decision to be self-disciplined, because if you're going to be self-disciplined, it starts with you. 2, start small. Don't set big goals. Start small goals that you can achieve and blow past. 3, create a routine. 4, read the book Atomic Habits. 5, be accountable. Okay, there's 7 more there, but be accountable. Think about that. Hey, we got some members who are on board with us this morning who are members of the Sales Logic Mastermind. And that's what they're doing, participating in Sales Logic Mastermind, to help them be really accountable and consistent with their results. So anyway, I could go through a whole bunch more, but what do you think Kelsey should be doing?
Yeah, so I love this question, Kelsey. You are asking the right 2 people, because I think there are probably no 2 people other than Mark and me who are less disciplined than the 2 of us. And I think we would, describe ourselves now as like ridiculously disciplined. I mean, I couldn't make an 11 o'clock class in college. And I was terrible at things like that. So where do I think you start? I think discipline is incredibly important in sales and in life. But I love the advice that came from the Sales Logic Brain, and that is start small. But I think if you're going to be disciplined, you need to begin to think what you want to be disciplined about. What is discipline going to look like? What are you going to require yourself to do? In other words, what are the sales behaviors? Far too often, we think discipline is about results, and discipline is not about results. Discipline is the outcome results are the outcome of strong discipline. But you need to determine, what does discipline look like and what are you going to be doing?
That's so spot on, because it's the activities we do. And I'm going to share something. Mary, you say you and I are incredibly disciplined. I've increased my level of discipline the more I hang out with you. And again, this is this key thing that when you hang out with other disciplined people, it's amazing at how you up your game. And this is something Kelsey, Sales Logic Brain, brings it out, that you've got to be aligning yourself with other people who are very disciplined. You've got to. Something else that I strongly recommend, and that is you got to start early in the morning. Now, early in the morning can be whatever time you want. Mary said she never took a class before 11. I never took a class till after lunch.
Wow.
When I was in college. Yeah. But here was the whole deal. The thing is, what's your routine in the morning? Those first 60 to 90 minutes of the day sets the tone for the day. And if you don't have a very strong discipline, it is amazing at how the day will get away from you. And what happened is you're going to get to the end of the day and you're going to say, I didn't get this done. Oh, I'll just get to it tomorrow. Disciplined people, Brian Tracy said, eat the frog, do the worst thing first thing in the morning. It's eat the frog. I don't know if I necessarily subscribe to that, but I say discipline in my activities that are going to deliver consistent results. That's where I'm focused first thing in the morning.
Yeah, so I love that we have Jack Hubbard with us this morning, probably the man who taught me about discipline. Now, when I first met Jack, I struggled to get to work by 8:30 in the morning. You would be so proud of me now. I'm a 4 a.m.er. So where do we start? Number one is, if you do not think of yourself as disciplined, change the story in your own head. I mean, that is the problem. You will become what you believe that you are. So you need to start with the fact, let's just all decide today that we are disciplined individuals. Now, we won't be that in the next 24 hours, but you need to change the story in your own head and decide that you are disciplined. And then, Mark, you said this so well. What are a couple of behaviors that you can put into place? Now, I am going to argue that we do not keep this just to sales, because I don't really believe in being disciplined in one area of your life. I think you need to be disciplined financially. I think you need to be disciplined with your health. I think you need to be disciplined with your relationships. I think you need to be disciplined with business. I think it is all. I mean, Mark, you know me. I am a girl who works her tail off, then I leave to go to the tennis court. I prioritize time with my husband and my family. It's part of my annual goals, because I don't believe that I can be disciplined in my work if I am not disciplined in the other parts of my life.
So true on that. And I see so many people, well, I'm really disciplined at work, and then outside work, I'm a sloppy fool. Let me tell you something. You can't separate the two. You have to be consistent 24/7. So it's about getting every element of your life lined up together. And here's what's interesting. When you do that, it actually becomes easier. You remove stress from your life because it's a routine that you do. I do a series of weights in the morning, and it is without fail. Within 2-3 minutes after I'm up, I'm lifting weights, and I do that very intentionally. It's not aggressive weightlifting, but it's part of my morning routine, and it does not stop on weekends. It does not stop on holidays. It's 7 days a week, but it's that consistent pattern. I was talking to a sales manager yesterday, and he was asking me that, should we change our sales process? And I was kidding with him, but I was dead serious. I said, what's interesting? Even a bad sales process worked consistently will yield results. Too many times what happens is we say, well, we're not getting results because we have a bad process. No, you're getting bad results because you haven't been consistent with doing what you need to be doing.
Absolutely. I love that everybody is really chiming in with their early morning routines, what they do.
Yes.
first thing in the morning. I can't tell you what a head change that can be, in the sense that you get up. I didn't get in until way after midnight last night. I still woke up. I didn't get up till 5 this morning, but I still got up early, and I'm not really with the program, feeling a little bit of stress today, but you still take the time to do whatever you do in the morning. I mean, for me, it's meditate. I do my affirmations, I make my sales calls, and then I exercise a little bit, because I believe that life is cumulative. It is, I don't have to do 3 hours every morning. If I do 15 minutes, I'll do 15 minutes again somewhere in the day, and somewhere again. But it is far too often the mistake that I see salespeople make is they try to make discipline, I'll make 30 calls a day. And maybe if that's your only job, you can do that. But most sales professionals that I work with have to deliver as well as produce. And when you've got to produce and deliver, you've got to create a consistency around it.
See, that's the whole thing. Your goals and the activities you're going to do every day have to fit into what is the master plan of what you're trying to accomplish. And it goes back to what you said earlier, what's the outcome you're trying to achieve? and you back your way into it. It's kind of like an investment strategy. If you have an investment strategy, it's not like I'm going to suddenly drop all this money in. No, it's monthly contributions to your retirement. That's how you make it. Sure, you can make some swings temporarily. You can do some, but no, it's the consistent piece. Hugh Hornsby jumping in, and I love the comments that we're getting. John Register, I swim in the morning. I try to do it on the road as well. I know Dave Sanderson does the same thing. He's in the pool every morning. It's consistency. One of the things that makes Sales Logic work is the fact that you and I are consistent every Saturday morning at 7 a.m. Central Time, 8 a.m. Eastern Time. And it's this is why you and I both rave about the book by James Clear, Atomic Habits. It's a no-brainer. Read it, apply it.
I love what Thomas is saying here, because I want to comment on it. Getting up in the morning and not hitting the snooze is a great accomplishment for me. I love that you said that, Thomas, because that's the other part about discipline is you need to celebrate what you do. I was on the road. It was a little bit of a crazy week. It was kind of land, do my thing, get on another plane, land, do my thing, get on another plane. And I didn't have much time. And so there wasn't the time for the normal amount of discipline I could take. But I rewarded myself for the fact that I still did my 50 sit-ups before I went to bed. I still did a 30-minute walk in the morning. I still made my sales calls every single day. So it is the little things. You do not have to be perfect. It is more about consistency. So I love that. If all you do is not hit the snooze tomorrow, good for you. You are on your way.
Thomas, your comment hits home with me. I remember in Knoxville, Tennessee, I'm a sales manager and I hated my boss. My boss has passed away, so I can use his name. Sidney Lee was my boss. I hated him. Alarm would go off and I'd hit the snooze. I'd hit the snooze 10, 12, 14 times because I could care less about going to work because I was unmotivated. Let me tell you something. The routine and being persistent and consistent is also based upon how motivated are you to achieve what you're going to. Now, I was working for a boss who I didn't like. And unfortunately, I allowed my head to get wrapped around the axle. I should have had my head wrapped around the axle of, you know what? I want to do my job the best possible way I can.
Yeah.
That would have changed. But because I had my head in the wrong place, it's amazing at how my motivation and my activity just sunk to a low. And why? Because again, I wasn't focused on the right thing. What do you focus on? What's that long-term goal? What's that long-term objective you're trying to hit? And then back your way into it with doing the small things every day.
Yeah, I love what Natalie says here. I work out first thing every day without exception. It sets the tone and gives me focus. I so agree with you, Natalie. I mean, the very first thing I do every day is within the first hour, I go outside. Being outside really just pulls energy into me. I want to comment here on Hugh's comment. Consistency and persistency, and make sure what you're doing is driven from the heart. Wow. If you want to be disciplined, it is less about what you are doing and more about why you are doing it. When people ask me what I do for a living, I never say I'm a speaker. I never say I'm an author. I never say that, that I'm a consultant. I always say I'm on a mission. I want to help people learn to turn uncertainty to competitive advantage. It's driven from a different place. Such a powerful comment. When you think about anybody who has children who's on this podcast right now, you don't have to think about being consistent to put nutrition into them, to make sure they get to school. You're not trying to discipline yourself. You just do that because you are on a mission to create wonderful human beings that are happy in the world and are productive. You're driven from a different place. And if you want to be disciplined, don't focus as much on how you're going to do it. Focus more on the why. What is it that you're trying to accomplish?
I love what you said there. And it may be that you, the listener right now, need to take a few minutes and say, what's my mission? What's my mission in life? What is it that what do I want to be known for? What's the legacy I want to leave? And then you back your way into it. And you're right. There is something magical when you have your focus on that. And there's something magical about being disciplined. Because when you're disciplined, it is amazing at how much more you're able to accomplish. Now, how much more you're able to accomplish, does that mean you're able to do short bursts of other things? Yes, it does. but you know you're taking care of the absolute fundamentals. One of the things about discipline is knowing you're taking care of the basics, and it keeps you from being blindsided. I want to call out something that I love to do. In fact, I was doing a program yesterday for a client, and a number of the salespeople said, "Mark, you shared with us, and we're doing it." And that's what I call the 10 a.m. rule. And that's this whole thing where by 10 a.m. you want to have accomplished something significant, because it just jazzes you up. It just makes you so much more enthused for the day. And even if the day should fall apart, you still accomplish something significant. I find too many salespeople, solopreneurs, they get stuck in their bedroom, they get stuck in their basement, and something goes wrong, and they wind up not getting anything accomplished all day. Get it done early. Be focused.
I love this comment by John. Routine and consistency became better, and I became a better leader when I made sure to schedule time for my family and myself. John, you are singing from the same songbook that I passionately believe this. You know, I read a quote years ago that said, a master in the art of living is somebody that you can't tell whether they're playing or whether they're working, because it all seems to be mixed together. You can't tell the difference. And that's really how I've tried to live my life. I used to be fiercely protective of my personal time. I'm in a little bit of a jam right now where I've had to give up a lot of things that I care about, but I'll get back there in about a year or two, and won't make the mistake again. But it is really, really important. You are a better version of yourself and better professionally when you do the things that take care of yourselves and the people that you care about.
Okay, now there's something powerful you just said, because we all get into these situations that wow, I've got to really focus over here, and it's outside the norm, and it stretched me. But here's the whole thing. You're able to handle that. We're able to handle that much more if we come into it disciplined already. If you weren't disciplined and consistent in what you did, and you're suddenly throwing some curveballs, and you're suddenly throwing some things out of left field, it is amazing at how much more difficult it would be for you to accomplish that. So it's the discipline that absolutely sets the framework. And this is so key also, because think about sales calls. You can be making sales calls, and you get a customer, you get something that just goes sideways. It's not working. But you know what? You can take, you can just relax and realize that one of the things about being consistent is that the day starts over every morning. Every day the sun comes up again, and you start the routine all over again. And there's something magical about that it allows you to more calmly go through the stress that you happen to be dealing with.
Yeah, but I think it's really smart. And this is where I made a mistake. It's really, really smart is you need to be part of your discipline needs the vision for your life and what you want your life to look like. And I got out of alignment with the vision of what my life needs to look like. And now I have to pay the price for that. Good lesson, right? Never lose sight of your vision. If your vision will drive your behaviors. Like, really ask yourself, if you want to be the top producer in the company, how does that impact? Whenever I work with clients and I say, let's cast a vision, we cast a vision for your life, not just for your work. It's really, really important. I want to make a comment about Roberta here. You're talking about self-compassion, which actually makes you more productive. So true, right? I mean, like, Roberta, I could beat myself up this week because I wasn't as disciplined as I was the week before. I got super derailed by some things. But the compassion is, rather than focusing on what I didn't accomplish, to focus on what I did accomplish. Great, great, great comment.
I'll tell you what, always celebrate the wins. Mm-hmm. Always celebrate. Again, things might not be going right, but you celebrate the wins. There's something to be said here about discipline and how it affects other people. And this is why it's key. You mentioned, my vision and so forth. You always have to remain consistent with your vision. And that's why you've got to make sure that your vision isn't just held to yourself, but you're sharing it with others. Who is in your inner circle? Because again, what I find, the most disciplined people are also the ones who seek advice from others. And they're really willing and open to say, hey, help me through this. Help me. Because again, if I go through this alone, it's going to be very, very difficult. And here's another piece. I love all of these comments, and we're getting so many comments. And what's very interesting is every person who's chiming in already has a level of discipline. Now, I'm going to challenge everybody who is listening to this to say, okay, what's the one little tweak I need to make in my discipline? What's the one little tweak I can make that would suddenly up my game? Because something that I found is I want to be consistently increasing the level of discipline, not radically, just small little tweaks. And it's amazing at how much better my life is today versus the way it was a few years ago.
Yeah, I love the comment that Jack made here. That's right. We've been talking about morning discipline, but what's your evening discipline? Before I go to bed every night, I do a stretch routine that takes anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes. I do 50 sit-ups, and I plan my day for the next day, because when I get up the next morning, I don't want any confusion as to the first 3 things that I need to do. Make such a great comment, Mark. It's probably we're at 21 minutes.
We are
round.
Yeah, let's jump right into the book here, and that is, the book, Sandra Long, LinkedIn for Personal Branding. I'm not familiar with it, so you've got to share with the audience, because you're putting another book on my reading list.
Yeah, I just got this one in the mail. Sandra sent it to me. I'm about halfway through, and you want to talk about a discipline? LinkedIn is a great discipline to have every single morning, and Sandra gives some great tips here on how to really elevate your reputation and your brand on LinkedIn.
Great. In fact, Corey Perlman put a great video out on LinkedIn. I won't say what it is. You'll just have to go to LinkedIn and check out Corey Perlman, and you'll find it. So anyway, lightning round. Top 10 sales trends you need to be paying attention to. Go.
Number 1 is that you no longer control the sales process. It's not about the product you sell.
2, customers are using AI much more than we realize. Be prepared for it, and you better understand how your product is impacted by it.
Yeah. Number 3, I would say that AI has made the human touch even more important, and that the role of the salesperson is more vital than it has ever been.
Because there's more information out there, the customer is more confused. And we're going to have to spend more time de-educating the customer so we can educate them. Be prepared to slow down the sales process to get the customer really thinking the way they should be.
Yeah. Trend number 5 is, I would say, understand that there's more people than ever involved in the decision making process. And you need to sell wide in an organization rather than just to 1 or 2 contacts.
Customers are being much more resilient in when they buy. They're really only buying at the last moment because they don't want to make any purchase at all. Be prepared to know how to handle that.
Yeah, you should understand that number 7, the trend that we're seeing is that you need to take care of your existing customers more than you have ever done so in the past, because a prospect is going to judge whether they should do business with you based on the reputation you have from your existing customers.
Because of everything happening in the marketplace, referrals and connections are more valuable than ever to help you break through.
Yeah, I would say trend number 9 is that social selling is becoming more relationship focused than it has been in the past. You used to be able to get on there, make a connection, look to make a sale pretty quickly, but this is really about building connections and building relationships.
Number 10, even though there's a tremendous amount of change out there, hey, the basics still work. You got to be consistent and persistent, as we've been talking about all morning long here. Hey, with that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend, because it's how we grow when we help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
all of this uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical. Hey, this morning we've had a lot of our mastermind members on the chat, but a lot of others. Jump out to saleslogicpodcast.com. Take a look at the mastermind. Join us, and you too can get access to Sales Logic Brain.
Dr. Anil, I'm so sorry we didn't have time for your question this week, but you are going to be featured next week on Sales Logic Podcast. We'll see you all right back here next week, 8 a.m. Eastern, for another episode of Sales Logic. Until then, go close a deal.